Now, it's very rare going to a movie not knowing anything about it. I knew it was a horror movie, which obviously is my favorite genre. I hadn't seen a trailer, haven't even read a synopsis about this movie. All I know is that this movie did very well at some of the festivals early this year, got a lot of buzz, garnered a lot of positive reviews, which is good and bad because it heightens expectations, number one, and then gets you excited, particularly for any good horror movie. But at the same time, not all expectations are not always met. You're so excited about something to build it up. It rarely meets to that level. So is that what happens here? Let's find out. And with that, I'm working with to another episode of the Romantor. My goal, as always, is to enhance the movie watching experience. So Hereditary is the newest horror movie by A24 Studios. More importantly, by first-time director Ari Aster, if I'm not mispronouncing his name. And if you'd have told me at the end of this movie that this is his first major motion picture, I would have been surprised. As a first-time director here, I think he hit it out of the park. Now, I went in pretty blind watching this movie, and I think that's the best way to go about it. So I won't spoil anything. I'll keep things vague in terms of what I liked and what I didn't like. But I always start off with what the movie's about here. This is deals with focus on a family. Of course, the mother played by Toni Collette and father by Gabriel Byrne. And the movie opens up and it really sets the tone here. This is not like a happy-go-lucky family here and things happen to them. There's a family which already starts off with the tragedy as Toni Collette's character's mother has recently passed away. At the eulogy, you find out that they had a very estranged relationship. She didn't really know much about her mother. A lot of mystery there, and throughout the movie, she kind of uncovers some of the mystery of who her mom was, and what she was involved in. But as she's dealing with that grief and that guilt of feeling that way about her mother, tragedy strikes again, and even worse so for the family, driving Colette's character to the brink of insanity, and really starts tearing the family apart. Now, off the bat, let me say Toni Collette is fantastic. She is outstanding here. Probably one of my favorite performances this year. This is worthy of Oscar consideration. She's that good in there. You believe everything she's going through because she's going through a lot. Not just the two tragedies that happened recently surrounding the events of the movie, but just her whole history and past of what she's gone through, and everything's been compounded on her. And like I said, it's bringing her to the brink of insanity, and to see her through that journey is remarkable. But not to be outdone here, we got Alex Wolff playing the oldest son, Gabriel Byrne as a father, them dealing with what's going on, how it affects them, and again the family falling apart here. They all give great performances here, but of course the direction is spot on. Now, this might seem like it sounds like some kind of deep, dark drama. And for the first hour, it is. This is a slow burn. So horror fans, be patient. This is a slow build. The director here, who takes a lot. You can tell he's inspired by movies like The Shining and Rosemary's Baby. A couple of movies that were running through my head as I was watching it. Very similar, where they kind of built it very slow and it ended up having a great payoff in the end. This is no different. It sets up who these characters are and what's going on, the anguish or horrors, what they're actually going through in their everyday lives. And you buy into it so much that when the scares start coming through, you're that much more invested and feel it at that point. That's why this movie is executed so well. It's shot spectacularly, looks great. Some of the angles he chooses to take, the cinematography, some of the shots that are set up, perfectly done here. He definitely knows what he's doing behind that camera, despite the fact that it's his first time here. And there's a moment in the movie where Colette's character meets someone who has gone through a similar situation that she has, introduces her to a way to deal with her grief via this supernatural, seance kind of thing that goes on. And that's when the movie transitions from a drama into a horror movie, and it pays off because this movie is frightening. It's unsettling is the best way to describe it here. And what's cool about it, they don't go for cheap scares here. There are some similar kind of tropes horror movies take as far as some of the visuals and things like that. Nothing new, but just executed well. But it doesn't rely on the cheap scares, jump scares that some of the casual fans like to go see. Is a little bit different. So I'm not sure how fans will react to it. But trust me, this movie is scary. The hairs in the back of my neck were kind of, going up there, which rarely happens. When I go to horror movies, which I love to death, I generally don't get scared. And for a movie to do that to me, it kind of caused that unsettling feeling within me. That says a lot, and it's great execution. This is an excellent, well-made horror film. Now, at the end of the day, you can hear things like some of the reviews I've seen coming out of the festivals is one of the best horror movie of the year, one of the best movies of the year, one of the best horror movies in the last 20 years. A little hyperbole there. I would not go that far. For me, as a horror film, my favorite horror movie of the year is Quiet Place, and it still is A Quiet Place, even above this one. Even as good as this movie is, although this movie had better scares as a horror film, the elements in it are superior to that in what we saw in Quiet Place. Quiet Place had a better story, better narrative that came together nicely. It had better characters so you can root for. You felt bad for this family, but you didn't really relate to what's going on. You were kind of caught in this nightmare that kind of continues throughout this movie, because the last hour of this film, it's fantastic as far as pure horror. Unfortunately, the one thing that really sets it back for me, and it's not a huge thing, is the last scene, well, how the movie ends up. The payoff there, or I guess difficult to discuss without getting into spoilers, so I'll keep it as vague as possible, is that it's not set up well enough to where you really feel the stakes of just what you just saw on screen. You understand how it got there, but what does it mean? Why is it so impactful? And you just don't feel it because the story does not focus on the lore that it creates with the mother and what's going on with her and some of the history there. And it obviously focuses more on the family itself and the slow buildup, and that's fine and great, and it works fantastic for this movie. But for the end, it kind of is missing something. You might scratch your head a little bit, might not be impressed about exactly how it ended up, because you're not sure what it meant in terms of the stakes and the scope of what occurred. What does it mean for the rest of us, in essence? They kind of hint us a few things and mention a few things here and there you pick up, but it's not explained. So ultimately, you don't know what it means and how bad the situation really is, except for what happens to the actual family. And in essence, which I understand because the focus wasn't on that. And if they actually would have gone through this lore and gone through this exposition and uncovering the secrets behind what's going on with the mom, it would have taken away from some of the mystery as far as what was going on with the family. But number two, it kind of left something behind, because then why there was no need for it to get to that point. They could have gone from point A to point B much easier. There's no explanation as why all these events are unraveling in that manner, and it's not explained, and that's fine. But it kind of leaves you a little bit empty at the end. So again, I feel the way. I'm not sure others will. I can see this being a divisive movie, but all in all, it's a great experience. One of the best horror movies of the year, no doubt about it. One I absolutely recommend you guys go watch if you do. I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. Comment below. This is going to be a movie that can warrant a lot of discussion. I can see it's being very divisive, but ultimately, I think it's an outstanding movie, an outstanding effort by a first-time director. And again, this is one you should definitely catch in the theaters if you get a chance. So Hereditary, you're going to watch it? You should. Comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. And of course, if you haven't done so already, subscribe below and feed money to go to the movies and talk about it afterwards. See you guys next time.